The chill of the February night sent shivers down my spine as I made my way to the secluded cabin in the woods. Valentine's Day had always been a special occasion for Emily and me, and this year, I had planned a romantic getaway to a rustic cabin surrounded by tall pine trees. Little did I know that this night would turn into a nightmare that would haunt me for the rest of my life. The cabin, an old structure with a dark history, seemed to creak and groan in the wind as I unlocked the door. Emily's excited laughter echoed through the empty halls, and the flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the walls. The air inside was heavy with anticipation, a feeling that something ominous lingered beneath the surface. As the night unfolded, we shared a delightful dinner by the crackling fireplace. The warmth of the flames couldn't dispel the unsettling feeling that crept into the corners of the room. Emily, oblivious to my growing unease, suggested we try a homemade Ouija board she had found in an old trunk. I hesitated, not one to believe in the supernatural, but the flickering candlelight and the crackling fire fueled a sense of curiosity. We placed our fingers lightly on the planchette, and Emily whispered, "Is there anyone here with us?" The room seemed to hold its breath, the flames dancing wildly as a sudden gust of wind rattled the windows. I dismissed it as a mere coincidence, but the uneasy feeling persisted. The planchette moved slowly, spelling out words that sent a chill down my spine. Leavenow. I scoffed, attributing it to our subconscious movements, but Emily's eyes widened with fear. Unbeknownst to us, the atmosphere in the room had shifted, and an invisible presence seemed to wrap itself around us. Determined to shake off the unease, we decided to take a walk under the moonlit sky. The forest, usually serene and peaceful, now felt ominous as shadows played tricks on our minds. The rhythmic crunch of snow beneath our boots was drowned out by the distant howls of wolves. Emily clung to my arm, her breath visible in the frigid air. We reached a clearing adorned with gnarled trees that cast eerie silhouettes against the moonlit snow. In the center, a dilapidated well stood like a forgotten relic of the past. Intrigued, Emily suggested we make a wish, tossing a coin into the abyss below. I hesitated, my gut warning me against it, but I shrugged off the unease and flipped the coin. The moment it hit the water, the forest fell silent. An otherworldly whisper echoed through the trees, sending a shiver down my spine. Emily's eyes widened in terror as she clutched her chest. "Something's not right," she stammered. Panic set in as we heard footsteps behind us, slow and deliberate. I turned around to find the shadows converging into a shapeless, dark figure. It emanated a malevolent energy that froze the blood in my veins. Emily's grip tightened on my arm, and we stumbled backward, our hearts pounding in unison. The figure inched closer, its features indistinguishable in the inky darkness. Desperation took hold as we sprinted back to the cabin, the echoes of the footsteps pursuing us relentlessly. The door slammed shut behind us, but the sense of dread lingered. We barricaded ourselves in the living room, the flickering candlelight casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. The Ouija board lay forgotten on the table, but the words it spelled earlier echoed in my mind. Leavenow. The cabin seemed to groan under the weight of an unseen force, and the temperature plummeted. Emily huddled close, tears streaming down her face as we heard disembodied whispers, a chorus of tormented souls trapped between worlds. In a desperate attempt to break free from the sinister grip, I grabbed the Ouija board and threw it into the fireplace. The flames erupted with an otherworldly intensity, casting an ethereal glow across the room. The shadows twisted and contorted, the oppressive atmosphere lifting. The footsteps faded, and the whispers ceased. Emily and I were left trembling in the cold silence, our minds grappling with the inexplicable horror that had unfolded on what was supposed to be a romantic Valentine's night. The cabin, once filled with warmth and love, now stood as a haunting reminder of the thin veil that separated the living from the restless spirits that lurked in the shadows. As the first light of dawn painted the sky, we gathered our belongings and fled the cabin, leaving behind the echoes of a night gone terribly wrong. The woods seemed to sigh in relief as we stepped into the safety of the morning sun, the memories of that harrowing night forever etched in our hearts. Valentine's Day, once a celebration of love, had become a chilling reminder of the supernatural forces that could unravel the fabric of reality, turning a romantic getaway into a nightmare we could never forget. The air was thick with the scent of roses as you made your way through the dimly lit streets, the soft glow of street lamps casting eerie shadows on the pavement. Valentine's night had always been special for you and your significant other, a time to celebrate your love in a unique and intimate way. This year, however, fate had something else in store for you. You arrived at the abandoned mansion on the outskirts of town, a place rumored to be haunted. Its grandeur had faded over the years, its once vibrant red bricks now a dull shade of gray. Despite the unsettling stories that surrounded the mansion, you and your partner thought it would be the perfect place to escape the cliché Valentine's Day celebrations. As you stepped inside, the temperature seemed to drop and an unsettling chill crawled up your spine. The walls groaned with the weight of history, and dust particles danced in the dim light filtering through cracked windows. Candles flickered on a decrepit wooden table, the only source of illumination in the room. The ambience was undeniably romantic, with a touch of eerie mystery. Your partner smiled, attempting to dispel any fears that lingered. But deep down, a sense of unease settled in the pit of your stomach. As the night wore on, strange occurrences began to unfold. Shadows seemed to move on their own. Whispering voices echoed through the empty halls, and the temperature continued to plummet. You tried to dismiss it as your imagination running wild, attributing the eerie atmosphere to the dilapidated state of the mansion. In an attempt to lighten the mood, your partner suggested a game hide-and-seek. Nervous laughter escaped your lips as you agreed, each of you taking turns being the seeker. But as you explored the dark corners of the mansion, you couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It was your turn to seek, and you closed your eyes, counting down. The air grew colder, and the whispers intensified. When you opened your eyes, your partner was nowhere to be found. Panic set in, and you called out their name, the only response being the haunting echoes of your own voice. You stumbled through the mansion, searching room after room, the flickering candlelight casting eerie shadows on the walls. The once romantic setting had transformed into a nightmare, and the weight of the mansion pressed down on you like a suffocating embrace. As you turned a corner, a figure emerged from the darkness. Relief washed over you as you realized it was your partner, but something was off. Their eyes glowed with an unnatural light, and their voice took on a sinister tone. They spoke of a curse that plagued the mansion, a curse that fed on the love shared between couples who dared to enter. The temperature plummeted further, and the walls seemed to close in around you. Desperation set in as you pleaded with your partner to leave, but they were no longer the person you knew. The once romantic evening had spiraled into a nightmarish reality. The mansion seemed to come alive, its creaking walls and eerie whispers drowning out any rational thoughts. You and your partner were trapped in a web of malevolent forces, and the air grew thick with a suffocating darkness. As the clock struck midnight, the mansion seemed to shake with an otherworldly energy. You and your partner were no longer alone apparitions of past couples trapped in the curse materialized around you, their hollow eyes filled with anguish. In a desperate attempt to break free, you and your partner raced through the mansion, each step echoing with the tormented cries of the cursed souls. The once grandeur of the mansion had transformed into a labyrinth of horror, and every turn seemed to lead to another dead end. Finally, you stumbled upon a forgotten room, its door ajar. The atmosphere inside was heavy, and a sense of foreboding hung in the air. As you cautiously entered, a flickering candle revealed an old, dusty mirror. In the reflection, you saw not your own terrified face, but the distorted visage of a ghastly figure. The cursed souls closed in around you, their tormented wails reaching a deafening crescendo. The room seemed to pulsate with malevolence, and you realized that the curse had claimed yet another couple. The once romantic Valentine's night had turned into a nightmare, and the abandoned mansion stood as a silent witness to the tragic love stories that had unfolded within its walls. The cursed souls continued to roam, trapped for eternity in a realm where love had twisted into something far more sinister. On the dimly lit streets of Hollow Creek, a small town nestled between rolling hills, Valentine's night unfolded with an ominous air. The moon, shrouded by thick clouds, cast an eerie glow, creating unsettling shadows. A chilling wind whispered through the deserted alleys, carrying with it an unsettling aura that set the stage for a night that would haunt the town for years to come. In a quaint cottage at the edge of Hollow Creek lived a young couple, Lily and Alex. The couple, deeply in love, had planned a romantic Valentine's night at a secluded cabin deep within the dense woods surrounding the town. The cabin, rumored to have a dark history, stood as a foreboding sentinel against the twisted branches of gnarled trees. As Lily and Alex made their way through the eerie forest, the crunch of leaves beneath their feet resonated like distant whispers. The moonlight flickered through the twisted branches, casting unsettling patterns on the forest floor. A feeling of unease settled over them, but their love shielded them from the encroaching sense of dread. Upon reaching the cabin, the couple was greeted by a dilapidated structure that seemed to have witnessed the passage of time with a malevolent gaze. The door creaked open reluctantly, as if resisting the intrusion of the couple into its long-forgotten solitude. The air within was stifling, and a faint odor of decay lingered. Undeterred by the ominous ambience, Lily and Alex attempted to create a romantic setting. Candles flickered in the drafty cabin, casting dancing shadows on the walls. The distant howl of a wolf echoed through the woods, creating an unsettling symphony. As they clinked their glasses, a sudden chill swept through the room, extinguishing the candles one by one. Unease settled upon the couple as shadows played tricks on their senses. A whisper, barely audible, slithered through the room, sending shivers down their spines. The air became heavy, and an oppressive silence hung in the cabin. Attempting to dispel the unease, Lily suggested a game, an innocent Ouija board. As they placed their hands on the planchette, the atmosphere changed. The temperature dropped, and a faint glow emanated from the board. Letters spelled out a sinister message: "Beware the night when hearts bleed." Fear gnawed at their hearts as a distant wailing echoed through the cabin. The walls seemed to pulsate with a malevolent energy, trapping them in a web of terror. Shadows twisted and contorted, taking on grotesque forms that danced in the dim candlelight. Desperation set in as Lily and Alex tried to escape the cabin, only to find the door sealed shut. Panic gripped them, their breaths becoming labored. The walls seemed to close in, suffocating them in the claustrophobic darkness. As the ominous message on the Ouija board reverberated in their minds, a ghostly figure materialized in the shadows. The spirit of a jilted lover, scorned and betrayed, emerged with a vengeance. Eyes hollow and expression twisted with anguish. The spirit sought retribution for the heartbreak that had shattered its existence. The ghostly figure's mournful wail echoed through the cabin, freezing Lily and Alex in terror. A spectral hand reached out, sending waves of icy dread through their souls. The air thickened with an otherworldly force, and the couple felt an invisible grip squeezing their hearts. In a desperate attempt to escape, they stumbled towards the window, but the glass seemed to solidify into an impenetrable barrier. The ghostly figure approached, its ethereal presence enveloping them. Lily and Alex, their love twisted into a nightmarish fate, were trapped in a realm between the living and the dead. As the first light of dawn crept through the trees, the cabin stood silent and abandoned. The ominous energy dissipated, leaving behind an empty shell of a once happy couple. Hollow Creek, forever marked by the events of that fateful Valentine's night, harbored a tale of love gone wrong and a haunting reminder that some wounds never heal, even in death.